In this unit, we're going to learn how to do a podcast. Let's go back to our opening screen of GarageBand. Click on New Project, click on Podcast, and choose. We're going to name this Podcast 1. And we'll save it on the desktop again, just for simplicity's sake. So now we're in our GarageBand screen, and there's a couple of things that you'll notice. The first is the podcast track, and then it says drag artwork here. Now you can drag either pictures or movies there, but you can't drag both. That's the one hang up this thing has, is it will not do both. Then you see it says male voice, it says female voice. You can use either one or both, it really doesn't matter. And jingles, you can either add music, write music, put loops there, or you can drag a music file there. But to start with, we are going to do a podcast on the DMI. And over here on the right, you'll see a bunch of photos have come up. And I happen to have a whole file of some DMI stuff. Now, if you look over here under podcast markers, you will see an empty square that says drag episode artwork here. Let's take this picture of Studio B at the DMI and let's drag it to that spot. And we're going to make that our headline. That would be like our logo. If I had a logo here, we would be using that there probably. Now, in our podcast track, let's take a picture of, let's say, the piano and put it at 0, 0. And the picture will run as long as this line goes, and it goes for a minute and something. We're going to move that back. We're going to run it for, let's see, we're going to run the picture of the piano for 30 seconds. Should be that spot right there. And then after that, we're going to put this picture of Studio A in that particular spot. Now we can leave this blank right here, and when the podcast is playing back, if we leave that blank, then this picture right here is going to come up. The main picture is going to come up. We don't want that at this point, so we're going to put this picture of Studio A there. And we're going to let that run, let's see, for 10 seconds, which will put it on the 40-second mark. And then we're going to take a picture of Studio C, and we're going to put it right after that. And our podcast is just going to be a minute long, so we're going to end it right there at the 1 minute mark. So we have 3 pictures that are going to show up in our podcast. And if you want to see that, you can click this square right here. This is your podcast preview, and you can see what happens as it starts playing. Right now, the piano is there. If we move this to, let's see, 28 seconds and start playing, you'll see at 30 seconds, the picture is going to change. And then the same thing will happen again at 40 seconds. If we put it right there, start playing it at 40 seconds, we get the new picture. Now, if you'll look in the lower center of the screen, you'll see the chapters. Every time we put a new picture up, it calls it a chapter. And we can title those chapters. We can call that Chapter 1 if we want to. And this one can be Chapter 2. And forever and ever. It can be whatever we want it to be. Now, right here, this is something that you don't have to do, but this can be helpful. It says URL title. We are going to write right there, DMI website. And that is going to be the title of the URL that we're going to put in it right here. If you look on the right-hand side of that box. And our URL is http://dmi.deltastate.edu. Now, if we go back and preview it again, and once again, you click this square right here, and the preview box will come up. And we play it, Now you'll see right here where it says DMI website. If you click that, then the DMI website will open. The next thing we would probably want to do is record our vocal track, or our voice, or the speech we're making, or whatever it happens to be, the track with the real information in it. Now I'm going to start recording, but I'm going to leave about a 5-second gap after the first few words. And there's a reason for that I'm going to show you in a moment. So, welcome to the DMI. I hope you love it. 5-second gap. And we'll see everybody in the fall, I'm sure, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so we've now recorded a vocal track. Now let's put a music track on it. We don't really have to, but we can anyway. We can either go ahead and record one like we've been doing in GarageBand, or we can just bring one in. And I've got one down here just for the heck of it. Let's see, the Olympic theme. And let's put it right here in the jingles track. It's going to take it a second to import and convert. And now you'll see that it is here. And everybody knows this song, I think. So, welcome to the DMI. I hope. And in fact, we can get right to the meat of it here. Leave the beginning of it off if we'd like. And just by trimming it right here, so we get right into the trumpets when we start. So need trim just a little bit more. There we go. That should do it. So welcome to the DMI. Almost did it. So welcome to the DMI. I hope you love it. Okay, and then let's move the talking back to the 5-second mark. Now, one other little thing. We've got pictures, we've got a voice, we've got music. This thing right here is something that we have not previously seen. It's a little gizmo that's got an arrow that points up and an arrow that points down. And this little technique is called ducking. And you enable it, well, you go to Control and click ducking to make sure that it's turned on. I just turned it off. We want to make sure that it's turned on. What ducking does, if you got the up arrow highlighted, then it makes it the primary track. And in this particular instance, we have the down arrow highlighted for the music. And what's going to happen is that when the voice comes in, the music is going to duck into the background. So listen to it and see how it works. So, welcome to the DMI. I hope you love it. 5-second gap. And we'll see everybody in the fall, I'm sure, blah, 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 blah. Extra credit to anybody who can tell me who wrote that song. So now we've finished recording our podcast. If we want to edit it, we can edit it just the same way that we've done all the others. The automation tracks will be there just like they were. The master track, if you want to go to master track and open that, your master track shows up, so you can edit it just like you've done every other song and everything else you've done in GarageBand. And then when it's time to share it, send podcast to iTunes. Of course, the other options, you could send it to disk just like we did the last song. You could burn it to a CD, or you can send it to iTunes. And that's it. That's the way you make a podcast.